After attempting to burn a witch who just flew off cackling, a town has to come to terms with the fact that it has clearly been accusing and burning innocent people up till now. What about Ingrid Bjorndatter? She came back from the dead. Obviously a witch. The abbot punctuated his accusation with a vicious poke at the pyre, his knobby stick scattering ash over its dying embers. Smoke curled, dissipating in the morning mist rolling down into the valley. Arnie Simonson nodded, tossing his axe from one hand to the other. She was ill all winter long, I remember. Then vanished during planting time, and back just in time for harvest. She wasn't dead, she was visiting our mother in Tunsberg, a woman in the gathered crowd muttered, drawing her wimple over her ashy blonde locks. Her husband elbowed her, shaking his head urgently. Arnie mimed hitting her with his axe. Well, what about Ragnrid and her heathen baby? The abbot demanded. Surely she was a witch. Stop calling me a heathen baby. The abbot eyed the 6-year-old speaker suspiciously. It took your mother 2 months to get you baptized. Because you were too drunk to come into town before first snowfall. The girl's father roared, gathering his daughter against his chest. The heathen baby threw her little arms around her father's ruddy neck, and swiveled in his grasp to glare at the abbot. The abbot reddened, drawing his cloak close and shuffling away from the crowd toward the frost-covered woods. Arnie's eyes narrowed. He let the axe's head fall to the ground and rested his palms against the handle, leaning forward. I never knew that. Are abbots even allowed to drink? The abbot's eyes went wide. What about? Sigrid? The stranger you had beheaded for appearing in the woods like an elf maiden? Rasped an elderly woman dressed in a simple grey peasant's frock. She shivered, wrapping spindly arms around herself. Yes, the abbot said, rushing forward in a frenzy. A witch. She was a nun. She was a nun. The abbot blanched. You can't know that. How could you possibly? Perhaps because she was barefoot, wearing a nun's habit, begging for alms on the road to Nadaros. Arnie's eyes widened. He picked up his axe again, eyeing the abbot. You're all culpable. The abbot shrieked. Never mind that they didn't fly away cackling, you lot knew all along those women weren't witches, but stood silently by. Talking too much is what you had Brynhilda burnt for, the old woman pointed out patiently. You. How dare you speak against me, crone? Perhaps you're a. That's my grandmother, you idiot, spat Arnie, surging forward. The abbot stumbled back, but the crowd caught him, twisting his robes in their grip. The old woman hobbled over to Arnie and laid her withered hands on his forearm. Arnie? Do you mind putting that axe to use and felling a tree? We need a little more wood for the fire. Are you cold, grandmother? Arnie asked. His gaze never wavering from the squirming abbot, he shrugged off his furs and draped them around her narrow frame. Oh, that's much better, his grandmother said with a placid smile, but if you don't mind, please fetch some wood for the fire, anyway. She turned to the abbot. Let's see if this one flies.